Hey guys, how are we doing? This is Fran. Be very welcome again to MetalFran for a new video in which today I would like to pay a small tribute to Black Sabbath and of course to Ozzy Osbourne, who suddenly and shockingly passed away 1 week ago, as you already probably know. Before going ahead with the purpose of this video, I would like to remind everyone that today, precisely today, 30th of July, from 1 p.m. is happening in Birmingham a very special event, no other thing than Ozzy's funeral, which includes a public procession for all fans of Black Sabbath and Ozzy and metal fans that would like to have the chance of giving him some recognition and some love. So if you have the chance of living around Birmingham, I think this is a very nice opportunity to show some respect to the probably biggest metal legend ever, if not one of the biggest for sure. Besides this, it's time now to go ahead with the video, which is gonna be focusing on reopening one of the oldest sections of the channel, which is no other than Ranked Discographies, where we will be, of course, reviewing most of the Black Sabbath albums, because yes, one of the disclaimers that I wanted to point is that I'm not gonna be reviewing all Black Sabbath discography, but focusing just in Ozzy Osbourne and Ronnie James Dio eras, okay? Maybe in the future I will be covering Tony Martin's era, Hugh Glenn's era, Ian Gibson era, could be, but for this video I will be focusing just on Ozzy Osbourne and Ronnie James Dio eras, okay? So if you like the idea and if you like to pay some tribute to Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath, because remember, he taught us to continue living happy, to continue living loud, and I thought, hey, one of the best ways to do is just having a discussion about Black Sabbath music, Black Sabbath album, just having fun, ranking the albums, and that's what we are going to do today on this video. So if you're ready, if you like the idea, please stay with me because this is gonna start right now. Let's go. Okay guys, so it's time to go ahead and try to start the Black Sabbath Ranked Discography from MetalFran, and let's start by reminding the list of the albums that we are going to analyze on this tier list, because as I was saying and mentioning before, we will be focusing on Ozzy Osbourne and Ronnie James Dio eras, not Tony Martin, not the rest of the albums. We are gonna be covering 12 of the 19 Black Sabbath albums, which are the following. First of all, of course, Black Sabbath homónimo and first album named Black Sabbath from 1970. One of the most important metal albums ever, probably one of the albums that started all. After that, on the same year, which is nowadays completely unusual, Black Sabbath released Paranoid, one of the other band masterpieces and one album that everyone absolutely loves. After that, in 1971, we have Master of Reality, third Black Sabbath album, which is also amazing. Next one is Volume 4 from 1972. Next one is Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath from 1973. 2 years later, we will have Sabotage from 1975. On the next year, on 1976, we have Technical Ecstasy. And finally, closing the first Ozzy Osbourne era, we have Never Say Die on 1978. Starting with Ronnie James Dio era, we have the masterpiece Heaven and Hell from 1980 and of course Mob Rules from 1981. We will have to wait 11 years more for The Humanizer on 1992 to finish the 3 albums from Ronnie James Dio on Black Sabbath. And last but not least, we will have to wait very long time for the last Ozzy Osbourne album with Black Sabbath, which was called 13 and was released, obviously, in 2013. Let's go now with the tier list. Okay guys, so first of all, I'm gonna let you know, as always, how I divided my tier list. First top tier is Olympus, after Amazing, after Good Effort, after You Can Forget This, and after Chaos and Pain. For Black Sabbath, as you can see, is quite balanced, I would say. In Chaos and Pain, I chose Technical Ecstasy. My reasoning is not a terrible album, okay, it's not the worst of the worst, but here you can clearly see how Black Sabbath members and Ozzy Osbourne were starting to not get along very well. They were debating on different styles within the band, which route was the best in following for the band: heavier, more chill, going to a progressive rock, going to a heavier metal. You can see here that some cracks were starting to appear, and in my opinion, this is no doubt the worst of these albums. Again, it's not terrible, it's not absolutely unhearable, but if you compare with the others, I have to place in Chaos and Pain. Besides that, we have Never Say Die, an album that I place in You Can Forget This because it's not a terrible album. I could save a couple of songs that I actually like quite a bit, as Junior's Eyes and Air Dance, which are actually quite nice and reminds me a bit of the Black Sabbath that I like more, but overall I don't think it's a great album. So compared with the others, I think you can easily forget this album. On Good Effort tier, I place 4 albums. First of all, 13th, the last Black Sabbath album with Ozzy Osbourne and overall Black Sabbath last album. Also Volume 4, Sabotage, and The Humanizer. The Humanizer, I'm gonna start for it, is an album that many people dislike, but in my opinion, it has many good things. Probably is the heavier Black Sabbath album in the sense of going for a different route, because the masterpieces like we will be speaking about in Olympus, they're also heavy, you cannot deny that, but if you get me, The Humanizer was going ahead in some 90s route that we're trying to find a louder and a heavier rhythm and sound, and I think The Humanizer definitely has that. You can like, you can dislike, but I don't think it's a bad album at all, and Good Effort is definitely a good tier for it. Sabotage is also an album that I like. Probably is not the best album for Black Sabbath, but hey, we have some tracks that I really like The Reed, The Thrill of It All, and Hole in the Sky. I have no complaints with that songs, but the contrary are songs that I really like, so let me know your opinion. But in my case, I place no doubts in Good Effort. Same as Volume 4, that has some absolutely immortal songs as Changes, Snowblind, Under the Sun. Are very cool songs, so it's a really worth place for Volume 4. And for 13, the last Black Sabbath album, I have some mixed feelings here. I really like The Effort, that's what I place there. The sound is really ambitious. I like how dark, how low, how sometimes creepy, eerie, and grim sound they try to perform. And actually, I think it's a really nice effort, taking in consideration when it was recorded and released, when they were already quite old. So in my opinion, this is a great album to have in consideration. And we are reaching now the top part of the tier list with 3 albums in the amazing tier: Black Sabbath, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and Mob Rules. I'm gonna start by the last, Mob Rules, second album from Ronnie James Dio. Not too much to say, it's just Ronnie James Dio and Black Sabbath. What else you need? It's a really powerful album, an album that I really enjoy, and for me, no doubts, Amazing is its place. Same for Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, one album that has some amazing anthems like A National Acrobat, and of course one of my favorites, Sabracadabra. Probably the only thing that I don't like too much from this album is the production. Lower tone and not very powerful, but the songs are super cool, some of the best Black Sabbath tracks, so of course it has to be in Amazing. And same for Black Sabbath first album, the album that started all, where we can have some absolutely amazing tracks like NIB, Behind the Wall of Sleep. There's many tracks that are unforgettable, and of course is the album that started all and still nowadays sounds kind of modern in the sense of, hey, this is true metal stuff and an amazing album that every metal collector has to have on their shelf. And Olympus, my friends, I think we don't have any doubts on these three albums. Heaven and Hell, the first Ronnie James Dio Black Sabbath album, which is absolutely a blast, which contains an amazing song, Neon Nights, wow, one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs. And of course we have Master of Reality with my favorite Black Sabbath song, which is Children of the Grave. And of course, what I'm gonna say about Paranoid, one of the landmarks of metal history, an album that obviously everyone has to like. I have no other thing to say. If you don't like Paranoid, something is not going right with you. So I suggest you to re-listen the album because, yeah, what can I say? War Pigs, Paranoid, Iron Man, just that three songs are metal history, and of course, Paranoid has to be in Olympus. So this is my tier list, guys. Let me know your thoughts, let me know your opinion, because I am super curious to know what are your different Black Sabbath tier lists. Okay guys, so this is it. Thank you so much for staying until this part of the video. I really hope you like the idea and the ranking of Black Sabbath albums, and of course, and this is the most important thing, please let me know your opinion, let me know your rankings, let me know your thoughts, because again, this is the crucial part, to have a discussion with you. I love always to exchange point of view, for you to let me know, hey, you know what, my favorite album is this, my favorite album is this, or I don't like this one because of any reason. So please let me know your opinion and your thought in the comments. And since our upcoming video, please take care and see you soon. Bye bye.